Tom Sykes and James Wilson. This is a real toughie. Double 16. Well, what a start. A 12 dart leg and a max in there. See an example of the kind of levels that this man is capable of.
170.
Oh, wow.
I think that's the first 170 of the week.
It is.
I really like that approach. When he's been good in this game,
30.
he's been
Tom,
awesome.
36.
Double 9.
Game,
And Tom
shot,
Sykes wins his first game of the campaign with a very impressive performance. It's not as high as he was in the first couple of legs, but my word, that will settle him down and give him confidence going into his entire campaign. Checkout percentage, 57%. High checkout of 121 in the first leg. And an average almost 93. He will take that, that's for sure. Tom off to a losing start, but he's got 9 games left to make his impression felt over the next couple of days. We're going to get our first ever Modus Super Series look at James Wilson next, and he's up against the aforementioned Lee Bonney.
James,
when you
90.
listen to the intricacies of it, it really is something that needed to happen. Double 18 for James.
Game shot on the first
And there's a
leg.
sign that he's
James
still got it.
Wilson.
I think that'd be great. I love the one that Richard Ashdown did recently when they had it on that game show thing.
Double 8. Takes his time to get himself into position. And does a
Game
very good
shot
job
sixth
in the
leg.
end.
That'll
Lee
hurt.
Bonney.
But maybe a fact that James Wilson will have to lick his wounds after this one. Oh my, what an approach that is.
174. Lee
Just in
required
case
40.
Lee Bonney stutters. Does he? He
20.
does. Now James Wilson's got 3 darts to win it.
Yeah,
James
and that's
require 8.
the power of scoreboard pressure, isn't it, Paul?
We're about to find out just how good that 174 was. One left.
Game
And he
shot,
finds the
and
target.
match. James
7 legs of
Wilson.
mayhem there between the two from the north of England. You can see what the Jammy Dodger thinks of that one. That's his debut match under his belt, but it was not an easy one at all. His average in the end was a good 5 points behind that of Lee Bonney, who did have 3 clean match darts at tops to get the win, but he has to settle for just 3 legs in the end. We've waited a long time to see Conor Scot come back to the Modus Super Series. His return will be next, and it's up against Alex Spellman. And there are other things I want to talk about with him, but is this the first 180? He's got form for that. He's done that before.
180.
He did it on the European Tour, I'm sure. He will be livid if he walks away with a defeat here. He was 3-1 up.
Oh, Spellman's going to have to hit the ball if he doesn't hit the treble 15. Double 10, what a bonus.
54.
For the second consecutive game, we go 4-3 with
Conor, you
both players
require 8.
missing a match shot. Double 2.
Game shot.
That's a valuable
and
2
match.
points for Conor Scot, who gets the game won on his 8th match dart. Alex couldn't quite complete the comeback, but on the bright side, Spellman did play better on the whole in that game than he did in all of Group A. Scot off with a bit of a stuttery one, but if that's going to be his bad performance, he's still going to walk away with the points sometimes, and he did just there. The end of round 1, that's it. We come back with Tom Von Hogan, and he's up against James Wilson after this.
Tom, you require
He wanted bright
72.
yellow flights, so he just says, I'll get them spray painted then. Genius. Double 16.
40. James, you require 82.
A bit of genius needed from James Wilson.
Yeah, ball double 16. Wow. Well, that's not bad. At least he can go 15 ball, treble 10, treble 15, double 10. Beautiful recovery.
Game
And
shot
a very
on the first
clinical
leg.
finish
James
after a...
Wilson.
We're already fearing the worst for his chances of making the top 2. It looks unlikely.
Well, there'll have to be a massive upswing in the numbers. Tops for Wilson. Oh, missed a double. Only the
Game,
one, though.
Shot, and the match.
As James Wilson sews this one up in double quick time. Only an average of 82.36. Like I say, the scoring element of his game is, well, not quite there yet, but ultimately another 2 points for Wilson. Currently tops the table. Up next, Alex Spellman will face Tom Sykes.
This is not easy for Alex because of the lie of his dart. Doesn't have to worry about it anymore. Just gets the single one for double two.
8. Tom, you require 110.
I think Tom threw them last 3 darts with the thoughts that, well, I'm not going to get another go. Well, you're getting another go, and it's going to be at tops.
Game,
and that's the way to close out a game.
Tom
110
Sykes.
finish, an average of 89.11 for Tom Sykes, and a fairly convincing 4-1 win. And well, Alex Spellman finds himself now at the foot of the table, despite averaging 85.07 and hitting 2 180s. Well, a fascinating tie awaits after a very short break. We're back with Lee Bonney against Conor Scot.
Oh, how good is that?
Literally.
51.
This game could easily get away from Scot if he's not careful. He must break at some point in the next 3 legs, otherwise he will lose. And he's not going to break right there, because that is a brilliant hold of throw in 15 darts to go with. So just watch out, Conor, because you've got the higher average by 5 points at the minute. Double 18. Oh, yeah. Love that. And so does he. But now he must try and get that break of throw. His card back. Zyganski's done exactly the same. Scot gets his chance to win the match. And win it he does. That really was a bit of a pocket pincher there. And Lee Bonney is empty at the thought that he's lost 4-3 twice. 103.98 is an impressive display. The best average of the week so far, usurping what we saw from Kurt Parry a couple of days ago. But my word, that really is an improvement, considering he won with a 78.47 in his first game. We'll take a short break now, and when we come back, it will be 2 players from Group A from earlier in the week. Tom Von Hogan up against Alex Spellman.
The 3-3, and he'll have the honour.
2-8. Chance for Spellman.
60.
Tom Von Hogan has not beaten anybody this week, apart from Lee Bonney. But Spellman has now beaten Vanden Hogan 4 times out of 4, and that gets him his first points of the day. So he has something to start with. If he wins his last 2 matches of the day, he will walk away with 6 points and still have a chance of qualifying through this group. That's what we've just seen. And when we come back, it will be James Wilson up against Conor Scot, and that one promises much for the break.
Yeah, for a 12-dart leg.
I showed you that clip, didn't I, from YouTube about his famous bounce out. If you haven't seen it, it is really worth a watch. One of them bounces into the 5, 57. Then bounces out and balances on one of his previous darts. Another one, the flight snags in the metal 5. And then just to put the cherry on the top of this leg, we have a chance of a 9 with 150 at the end. He's got to be going for the 19s here, surely.
Well, we've seen this before, haven't we?
57.
Not here, but
150.
No, he went for history. He went for history. If he'd have done that, 45. He may have broken the internet all the time. And win he does for the 3rd time today. The first loss of Conor Scot's career in the Motor Super Series on that stage. And it is by 4 legs to 1. I know it's a bit of a stutter for Scot, but Wilson will be feeling very happy that he was invited to play here on Thursday, because he hasn't lost yet and he still hasn't shown us his best stuff. When we come back, it will be Sykes, who's played some of the best stuff of today. He's up against Lee Bonney, who's still looking for his first win.
16s has been the route all week.
Doesn't get the treble. So Sykes has got options.
33.
He can go for double
Tommy
seven here,
required
and most
40.
people would. He does. How does he hit this? He's going for the left-hand side.
Game,
That's an incredible
shot,
dart
and the
from Tom
match,
Sykes.
Tom Sykes.
That is not an easy shot from that side of the hockey. He had to throw it harder and higher, and it does go in for his third consecutive 4-1 victory. He's top of the table alongside James Wilson on 6 points, and there is a big similarity between that performance and that of James Wilson in the previous match. They both averaged 79, and they both won by 4 legs to 1. That's the end of round 3, and when we come back, it's Spellman who needs to make his presence felt up against the aforementioned Jammy Dodger.
Yeah, and had that landed, he would have won with an average in excess of 95. He'll stay there.
95. James, you required 32.
His standard has not been anywhere close to this so far today. Is James Wilson getting better?
Game, shots.
He keeps
and the
winning.
match, James
He's
Wilson.
on 8 points in the table, and he has now created a gap of 6 points between himself and his opponent, who leaves the stage and only has one more game left against Lee Bonney to see if he can get out Thursday with 4 points. But 93.99 with 4 out of 13 on the doubles, one of the best performances we've seen today, and it has been the best we've seen from James today. When we come back, Lee Bonney, who I've just mentioned, he will take on Tom Von Hogan in game number 11. Just
Tommy required
didn't
110.
calculate the length of the hockey that he was throwing from, just needed a bit of extra height on it. Double 18.
74.
One dart
Lee
to keep
required
this one
43.
alive. Budgeon. 11 for double 16. Can he get over the line this time?
Game,
He can.
shots,
A
and the
beautiful
match, Lee
final
Bonney.
dart finding the middle of double 16. And a very, very tidy performance. 99.35. Well, he started off really well today as Lee Bonney with averages of 91.5 and then 93.5, but couldn't get a win. This time takes his numbers even higher, and he gets himself off the foot of the table and picks up his first 2 points. As mentioned, when we come back, a cracking game in prospect. Conor Scot takes on Tom Sykes.
How many times do you see somebody recover from a 4-point gap? Not very often.
Yeah, and this isn't the type of group
134.
where... And there's some dangerous spoilers in there in Spellman and Budgeon.
Especially when you consider that the
58.
second best performance of the day has just come from Budgeon. It's brilliant.
180.
4 180s in this game. 2 apiece.
140. Tommy required 101.
Again, almost neck and neck. Double 12.
Game shot.
Oh,
the fifth
yeah.
leg. Tom
Now we're
Sykes.
cooking. 12 darter from Sykes.
Tommy required 112.
And being on 8 points from 4 games.
Game,
Oh, that's
shot,
brilliant.
And the match.
What a
Tom
sprint to the
Sykes.
end from Tom Sykes. We gave him the big build-up at the start, but that was a stupendous performance. When he was in trouble after 3 legs, he finds a burst, and that's what he did overall. Nearly a 96 average and 57% on the doubles. He's here to win, and he's in a top 2 spot with his fellow Yorkshireman, James Wilson, who he will play in the penultimate game of the day. Are we looking forward to that? You bet we are. But before we get there, it's going to be Bonney against Spellman to end their day.
Really accustomed to here at the Super Series.
Well, he's used to making Saturdays. He's won a Group A before, and quite comfortably. But this has been anything but comfortable.
180. Alex, you require 129.
That was only ever going to be a max after Dart 1.
129 to save the match. The chance is gone. But the opportunity for Bonney to walk away with 4 points today now presents itself.
Game,
The chance is taken.
And the match, Lee Bonney.
And Bonney does equalise in their head-to-head for the week. Spellman had the better of it earlier in the week, but Bonney takes today's spoils a steady display on the scoring. But look at the doubles. Nothing wrong with them. 4 out of 4. And we've had a few of those this week, believe it or not. Budgeon, 4 points. Spellman, 2. And their leg count is very similar to what they got in the points table today, as you can see. When we come back, it's that game that we all wanted to see after we saw 4 undefeated matches for both players. It's going to be Sykes and Wilson straight after this. He's going to be very, very happy with their day's work. In about 6 or 7 minutes, potentially. Another one. It might even be less than 6 or 7 minutes. It might be as little as 2. Because that is a beauty from J-Dub. Wilson's been good.
James, you require 56.
But all of his finishes have been supremely timed. Double top. And this one is timed perfectly as well.
James Wilson.
Not a great deal between the averages, but you have to say that Wilson was marginally the better player. 7% between them in the finishing. You can see that it was all about the fact that Wilson got chances and he took them every single time. You can see that the 89 average was good enough as well. So an undefeated debut day for the Jammy Dodger. He'll be elated with that. And I'm sure Tom Sykes philosophically will think that that's not a bad start to Group C here in Week 10. We'll take a short break. And when Tom Von Hogan comes back, he has one more chance to get some points. But he's up against Conor Scot. And the debate about 2 words that he said during that interview.
180.
Being bound. I'm not going to have an opinion on it right now. But it is a discussion that is raging on at the minute.
137.
And at the minute, what we've seen is a great first day from James Wilson. 86.32 is average for the day.
121.
And 40% on doubles. It just proves that you don't have to go out there and average 95 and 75% on doubles for the day to be in a really good position.
92.
He was effective all day long. And that's why he won all 4 matches. All 5 matches, sorry. Well, Conor Scot has been white hot at the start of this game on double 10 after 9.
What a lag. 180, 121, 180.
60. Conor, you
It was quite unfortunate to get the 1 on the 1-2-1.
Game shot.
That's a 10-dot leg.
Best
Conor
leg
Scot.
of the day.
Requiring 97.
To say that double 19 for tops was the route.
38. Conor, you require 40. Game shot.
Well,
and
a
the
fabulous
match.
performance from Conor Scot. 98.56 the average in an absolute drubbing of Tom Von Hogan, who was reduced to just 2 darts at a double in the entire match. 4 out of 9 for Conor, 44.44%, and that win was important, and the manner in that win, because he's now got his leg difference back in the black. He is 6 points plus 1, 2 points behind Tom Sykes on 8 points plus 8. And James Wilson, as we heard from Abby and James himself, the overnight leader, he was perfect. Well, let's have a quick review of the action with Abby and Paul Nicholson.
Well, that really was a statement victory from Conor Scot. Just over 7 minutes in the end. You feel he needed that, not just to close the gap on the 2 players above him, but also for himself, given how the day had unfolded prior to that.
Not an easy day at all. You had Sykes, you had Wilson playing some great darts at times. When things dipped, it seemed like they were able to win when Conor wasn't. So that the fact that he's able to put that performance in and show Sykes and Wilson, and indeed the others, that he has that in the locker right now, it bodes well for tomorrow.
Yeah, we can have a little look then at the 15 games, the results that we have seen over the course of this afternoon session. It kick-started with a fantastic victory for Tom Sykes. We spoke about him at the start of the day's play and how he could be a bit of an underdog in this group. You mentioned his Group C campaign when he was on debut here in September. He could do even better this time around.
He might do as well, but it's not going to be easy for him with Scot just behind him and James in front. I loved the honesty of Wilson when he was with you after that penultimate match. But the fact that we are seeing the fresh players doing the best today, is that a sign of what is going to come tomorrow? they've all got positivity going into Friday, whereas the other three have just got a little bit more negativity, unfortunately.
Yeah, Lee Bonney and Alex Spellman. That was a really crucial contest. Bonney getting over the line 4-2 in that one. That feels like the match that really did end the Americans' chances.
You have to say so. We wanted the best for Alex this week. It just hasn't been his week, and it happens to everybody. We've seen former weekly champion John Henderson having struggles on Thursdays and Fridays before. It's really tough to come here and play 3 straight weeks. So we feel his pain, but if he's going to get through in this group now, he's going to need a miracle.
What would your advice be for Spellman going forward? We take it as granted that he's probably not going to qualify for finals night. Do you believe he needs a bit of time away from the game?
Yeah, just maybe a week or two, just to recharge the batteries. I read a book called Super System about 15 years ago by Doyle Brunson, and he was a very famous poker player in old Las Vegas, and he talked about how playing week in, week out, and being at the table and constantly concentrating, you get to a wall, and no matter how much you love something, you need to take a break from it. He went to Hawaii for 2 weeks, came back, and he was right on point again, and maybe Alex needs something like that. I'm not saying he needs to go to Hawaii, but I think just a break at home, back in North Carolina, just recharge the batteries and he'll be fine in 2 or 3 weeks.
Tom Sykes, we mentioned the start he had today, a 1-2-1 to complete a 12-dart leg, really set his stalls out from the beginning. What improvements have you noticed in his game from now compared to September?
Just marginal improvements, really. I think he's got that same intensity, but I think confidence being an intangible thing, it's hard to measure it. But since then, I think he's become a better player. Yes, he won the belt on this stage. He couldn't wait to come back. When you come back to a place that gives you happy memories, you're bound to do well. But obviously what he's done in the last 4 months has been right for him. He's ready to take that next step. He could indeed do what Conor Scot did 2 and a bit years ago, but now he's got to put it into play.
Confirmation of the league standings then at the halfway point in Group C. James Wilson going through the card 5 from 5. Very confident heading into tomorrow afternoon session. Tom Sykes just behind him on 8 and Conor Scot on 6. Lee Bonney, we mentioned that match against Alex Spellman. He's on 4 points now. Do you still give him any chance of making it through to finals night?
He's got to have a good start. I know that his experiences this week have been very up and down. Sometimes he's had a decent start, like he did on Tuesday. He had a bad start on Monday. He had a bad start today, but that cannot happen tomorrow. The urgency has got to kick in. It's now or never. Otherwise, Saturday is not going to call his name. I think if he doesn't beat Spellman, that's it.
And just finally, one word on tonight. We've got the demolition man, Darren Webster, up on this stage. How much are you looking forward to seeing him in action?
Do you know what? He's a small guy. He's full of energy. He's just a tremendous guy to be around. We might need subtitles for some of his interviews because he's very, very Norfolk, of course. We love him for that. But he's going to be as busy up here as the Ali Pali Wasp was in North London over Christmas. But he's going to be a nightmare for everybody else. He's so hungry and so energetic. He will be very, very hard to stop.
He really will. We cannot wait to get tonight's session underway. We are back on air from 9:45 tonight. Make sure you come and join us for another bumper session of darts.